Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to separate debits and credits from a transaction table so you can show them separately in the form footer. So if you've got like a check register table and you've been entering everything in as amounts, right? Your checks out are debits, so they're negative, and any deposits are showing as positive, but it's all in one field. I'm going to show you how to separate that out so you can show a total of the debits and a total of the credits. And then you can do other cool stuff too. Today's question comes from Trevor in Redmond, Washington, one of my Platinum members. Trevor says, I recently watched your account statements video where you show how to create a report that separates the debits from the credits. However, you have debits and credits separated in your table already. I just have one transaction amount field. Is there a way to separate what it shows? Separate that where it shows debits and credits separately. Is there a way to separate that where it shows debits and credits? Okay, I got it. I understand. I should have proofread that better beforehand. Where debits are entered as negative amounts, how would I split those? Okay. The video that Trevor is talking about is this one, my account statements video, where I show you how to take your credits and debits and put them together as separate sections. Usually you'll see that your bank does this at the end of your statement, right? It'll take all your transactions and at the very end it'll say, here's all the credits and the credit total, here's all the debits and the debit total. But the database that I'm using, I've got those fields separate. I've got a debit field and a credit field, and then I just add them together to give you an amount field, right? So what Trevor's saying is he's got the reverse. He's got all of his transactions in one field, right? Either positive or negative, and he needs to be able to split them apart so that he can show what I was showing in the account statement. Okay? All right, so I'm going to show you how to go backwards in this video. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Either way, and one of the things I talk about in the check register video is that it's perfectly fine to store your data either way. It doesn't matter whether you use one field or two. So this will be an expert level video, which means it's a little bit beyond the basics, but you don't need VBA programming, so you don't have to be a developer. That's what I consider expert. You should know how to create calculated fields, both in forms and in queries. You should know how to use the if function, and I call it if. I know I'm being silly with it, but that's why you remember it. So it's IIF, immediate if, not if. I don't know how many times when I was first learning this, I used to always type it backwards, IFF. It's IIF. So you'll always hear me say if. And you should know how to make form footer totals. If not, go watch these other videos first and then come on back. All right, so here I am in my Tech Help free template. This is a free database you can grab off my website if you want to, but you don't need to. We're going to create a new table. Since the other check register database is already built wrong, well, not wrong, but opposite of what we're trying to do, we'll just make a new table real quick. So we'll go to Create, Table Design. We'll just base this on any old transaction table. So transaction ID, that's my auto number. We'll do a transaction date. That'll be a date time. Remember, don't use just the word date as a field name. That's a reserved word. Okay, so you want to have something date, even if it's just my date. That's fine. Don't use just date, just like you don't use just name. Okay, down here in the default value field, I'll put equals date. That'll put today's date in there by default on new records. If you want the date and time, you can use now down here. Usually for transactions like a check register, I don't care about the time. I really just want the date. Optionally, if you're doing checks, you can put a check number in here. All right. You can make that a number or text, whatever you want. If I've seen some people use this for transaction codes that might sometimes have letters in them. So if that's the case, use short text. I'm going to just stick to numbers since I'm doing primarily a checking account. And I'm going to make the default value null. So I'm going to get rid of that 0. That way, if it's not a check, if it's like a deposit, it'll just be blank and it won't have a 0 there, right? All right, the amount, that'll be a currency. We'll do a description, which is short text. And I always like to have notes, which is long text, in case you want to put like, this was for grandma's new hip, or whatever you want to put in there. Save this as my transaction table. Primary key, transaction ID. And if you don't know any of the stuff that I just covered, watch my Access Beginner Level 1 class. It's free. It's 4 hours long. It's on my website. You'll find a link down below. All right, let's close this and just put a couple sample records in it. So we've got, let's say here, an opening deposit. So I'll put in here $1,000 opening deposit. Maybe make this a little bigger. There you go. All right. Next up, we got check 101 for $120, and that's, I don't know, cat litter for data. And someone's beaming in. Hold on. All right, no Klingons. We're good. All right, check number 102. Let's say it's, oh, I forgot. Now we have to take into consideration, we have to remember that since we're using one field, that is a check that has to be a negative number. Make sure you put a negative value there. Okay? That's one of the reasons I personally like using two fields, but that's up to you. Okay, so negative $75 for a tooth sharpener for Quark, or Worf, they use them too. Let's do $300 winnings at Dabo. And then one more check. We'll do 103, which was $20 for phaser practice. Okay. All right, so we got enough in here to see what we're doing. All right, so let's close this. Save changes, y'all. Now, I like to make a query that does the calculations. You can do a lot of the calculations that you need in forms, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes if you try doing the totals like this by separating things out in a form, especially a continuous form, it doesn't like it if you try to total them down in the footer. So instances like this where you've got calculations that you want to do sums and stuff on in the form footer, make a query. Okay, trust me, it just makes things a whole lot easier than trying to do calculations directly in forms. So let's create a new query, and this query is going to be based on my transaction table that I just made, and we can bring in all the fields. I can close this guy. All right, now right here we're going to make two calculated fields using the if function. The if function, right? Debits, which will be transaction amounts less than 0, and then credits, which will be transaction amounts more than 0. Where do zeros go? I don't know. Why are they even in there in the first place? Who knows? All right, so I'm going to zoom in, Shift F2, just so you can see this better. All right, so debit is going to be if amount is less than 0, then put the amount value here. Otherwise, put a 0 here. Okay, and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to Control-C it because credit is very similar. Click here, Shift F2, paste that in. We're just going to change this to credit. And then all we got to do is flip this little guy right here. Boop, just like that. And complete with the sound effect too. Boop, make sure you forget, when you do that, don't forget the sound effect. It's very important. Access won't work if you forget your sound effects. All right, let's save this as my transaction queue for query, and then we'll run it. And now we don't need this to be quite that. And now you can see right there, there's your debits and your credits. Look at that. Now your data looks just like mine did before, so you could plug this into the account statements database if you want to generate that report where they're split, and you can go right from here. But let me show you how to put this into a form footer and do calculations on that. At this point, it's pretty straightforward. So we're just going to use, I got my continuous form here from my template. If you haven't watched how I built this Tech Help free template, there's a video on this too, but I like to create, see these little guys here with the little underscores in front of them? Those are just so I can use these for making new ones. So I'll copy, paste. All right, we'll call this my transaction F for form. And it's now down on the bottom here. There you are. Open it up in design view. All right, make this guy bigger. This is going to be wider than that, so let's make it wide. And I like to leave these guys in here just for formatting purposes. So now I'm going to first open up the properties for the form, change the record source to my transaction queue. That's where you're getting your data from. You want those fields in there, that debit and credit field, so you can do your sums on them, okay? All right, once you're done with that, we can close that. Go to Add Existing Fields. I'm going to bring everybody in except debit and credit. You don't need those fields here on the form unless you want to see them. If you want to see them, great, leave them on there. But you don't need them. As long as they're in the underlying query underneath, right, what the form is based on, you can still do sums and totals on them. Okay? That's the rule. So I'm going to bring all these guys in, drop them right there. Except you, Notes. We don't need you. Goodbye. We're going to do something with Notes in just a second. Okay? All right, get rid of all these labels. Why? I'll show you why in a second. Transaction ID can go over here, and that's the reason I leave that little gray field around. It's just for formatting. I click on this, I click on the Format Painter, which if you don't have it up here in the Quick Launch toolbar, it's on the Home tab. Format Painter. Boom, now it's gray. See that? And these guys I'll just line up. The transaction date can go there. Probably about that big. Check number can go there. You don't need to be that big at all. All right, the description we'll put here. And then we'll slide the amount over on the right. Okay. Now I got these guys in here. I can get rid of these. Boop. Right? We'll slide these guys up like that. And then now you can make a separate label for all these, or you can just do my little trick where I just make one big label. I'll leave ID over there, and then for the rest of them, I'll just do date, and then spaces, and then the check number, and then spaces, and then description, and then a bunch of spaces, and then amount. That's just easier than making a bunch of labels. Okay, slide this bottom up, save it, close it, open it. Let's see what we look like. Okay, looks pretty good. Forgot to left align everything. I like everything left aligned. I know accountants like everything right aligned. We'll leave, that's one of the reasons I put the amount over here on the right. We'll leave that amount right aligned. So come in here, we'll select all of this stuff. We will left align it, and then we'll right align the amount, which means you got to try to line up that amount over here on top of that. Looks pretty. Leave a little extra space for us for the scroll bar in case you need it. So maybe there. All right, let's see. Save it, close it. Keep wanting to click on the customer form. So that's where I do most of my stuff. All right, open it up. Looks pretty good. Okay. Now, let's put some totals in the bottom down here. So I'm just going to copy amount, copy, click in the footer, and then paste. And it puts it down there. All right, yeah, I know it's in the upper left-hand corner. We're going to copy it and slide it over here. And then I'm going to go paste, paste 2 more times. See how they appeared down below there. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, slide these up just a touch. Okay, this first one is going to be the amount, just the total. All right, so we'll double click on you. The control source is going to be equals the sum of amount. So it's equals sum, the sum function, and then in parentheses, amount. And give it a good name too. We don't want to call it just text66. I'm going to call it sum amount. Don't confuse those two things. All right, this is an actual function. It's equals sum amount, the amount field. This is just its name, sum amount. Okay, and that's a RIC thing. That's my standard. That's what I do. Okay, that will sum up all of the transactions here. Now, for these, I want the debits and the credits, whichever order you want them. I don't care. So here, this one's going to be equals the sum of the debits. Now, look, it shows up in the IntelliSense. See that? It shows up in that list because Access sees a field called debit, which is in the record source for this form. So you can use it. All right, and up here we'll say sum debit, and we'll do the same thing for the credit field. So right here equals the sum of credit, not credito, just credit, and sum credit like that. Save it, close it, close it, close it, open it, boom, there you go. There's your total, the total of your debits, which looks about right. Yeah, 199. Yeah, okay. And the sum of your credits right there. A little confusing. Let's add some color. Now, you can use conditional formatting if you want, or you can use the format property. In fact, I've got a video. Where is it? This guy. It's a beginner video, and I show you how to put different formats in here, right, based on just the value in the field. And if you go to my website where this guy is located, I conveniently put it right down here for you. Just copy this. What it does is this is the positive value, right? And I put the thousand separator in there. If it's negative, it'll be red. If it's 0, it'll be dash, 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 and green. And if there's no value, if it's null, it'll be blue. Ooh, and say the word none there. All right, so we're going to copy that. We're going to come back over here. We're going to select all 4 of those fields and open up the property sheet. Or you can go right-click and go to Properties. Where it says Format, right there, it's currently currency. You're going to just paste that formula in there. Boom, right there. Well, it's not really a formula. It's a format. Right? Looks just like that. And you could change this. You can put if you want an actual 0 in there, put a 0 in there. There you go. Okay. Hit OK. Close it. Save it. Open it. Boom. How's that? That's a little more easy on the eyes, right? Okay. And you can see they're nice and separated down there. What about those notes? If you like the notes, I like to put long text fields down here in the form footer. Remember, anything in the footer, if it's not a total or another aggregate function, right, like a max, min, average, one of those things, if you put just a field down here, it's linked to whatever record you're on. And I've already got a field called notes right there that's got a nice, pretty formatted text box that I can just borrow. So I'm going to copy you, copy, close this now, come back over to you, right-click, design view, click in the footer, and hit paste. All right, and then we'll just maybe move it around a little bit, make it size to this form like that. That looks good. This is where you can put the notes for your check or whatever you want for the transaction, right there. Okay, and if you click on it, it's called notes, and it's bound to the notes field, which there happens to be a notes field in your table. That's why I like to use the same fields if they do the same thing for different stuff. Like you might have product notes, you might have customer notes, you might have, order notes. Call them all notes. That's fine. Then you can just reuse the fields everywhere. And you know what table it's from because you can just call it customer t.notes, for example. All right, save that, close it. Let's open her back up. All right, now if I click on cat litter for data and put in here, Spot has somewhere to poop or whatever, right? If I click on another record, it goes away. But if you click back on this one, you can see it comes back because this field is bound to this record. All right, that's a little trick. You can put stuff in the footers. All right, so you don't have to waste all kinds of space up here and top in the form. Okay, I could go on about this stuff for hours and hours, but this pretty much shows you how to do what I promised I was going to show you how to do, right? If you like this kind of stuff, this is exactly the kind of thing that I teach in my Access Expert lessons. There's 32 levels. I go through all kinds of stuff, including formatting and query functions and all. I got a whole section on just the different functions, if and rounding, and you name it. I cover it. I'll put a link to this down below. And if you're interested in learning how to do more with the check register type stuff, I've got a whole seminar on it. It teaches you everything you want to know about making a transaction or check register for your Access database, including printing checks, writing out the $5.42, that kind of stuff. All kinds of reports and graphs and charts and things with molecular structures and moving parts and you name it. It's in this seminar. So check it out. I'll put a link down below. But that is going to be your tech help video for today. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have below. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. Click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Want to learn more? Click the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. YouTube does a pretty good job of hiding it. It's right down there. See this part of the description here, right? The name, the video's up here. There's a little Show More down there, right down the bottom. It's kind of hard to find. But once you click on that, you'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. And YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted like they used to do. But if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. And you can pick how frequently to get emails from me, either as they happen, daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel and receive all kinds of awesome perks, click on the Join button. You'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks, including my extended cut videos, access to my code vault, lots of VBA source code in there, template downloads, and lots more. I'll talk more about these perks at the end of the video. Even if you don't want to commit to becoming a paid member and you'd like to help support my work, please feel free to click on the tip jar link. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got some puppies to feed. But don't worry, no matter what, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you really want to learn Access and you haven't tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, and more. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? The whole thing, free, 4 hours. Go watch it. And okay, a lot of you have told me that you don't have time to sit through a 4-hour course. So I do now have a quicker Microsoft Access for Beginners video that covers all the basics faster in about 30 minutes. And no, I didn't just put the video on fast forward. But I'll put a link to this down below as well. Now, if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it, $1. And that's another whole 90-minute course. Level 2 is also free for paid members of any level, including supporters. So if you're a member, go watch level 2. It's free. Okay, want to get your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my tech help page and send me your question there. Members get priority, of course. While I do try to read and respond to all of the comments posted below in the comments section, I only have time to go through them briefly a couple of times a month, and sometimes I get thousands of them. So send me your question here on the tech help page, and you'll have a better chance of getting it answered. And while you're on my website, be sure to stop by my Access forum. We've got lots of lively conversations about Microsoft Access and other topics. I have a fantastic group of moderators who help me answer questions. Shout out to Alex, Kevin, Scott, Adam, John, Dan, Juan, and everybody else who helps out on the site. I appreciate everything you do. I couldn't do it without you. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but I don't like Facebook. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk more about those member perks if you do decide to join as a paid member. There are different levels: Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, one free beginner class every month, and some other perks. Gold members get all the previous perks, plus access to download the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use, the code that I build in most of the videos. You'll also get higher priority if you do submit any tech help questions. Now, answers are never guaranteed, but you do go higher in the list for me to read them. And if I like your question, you got a good chance of it being answered. You'll also get one free expert level class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus even higher priority for tech help questions. You get access to all of my full beginner level courses for every subject. And I cover lots of different subjects like Word, Excel, VBA, ASP, lots of different stuff, not just Access. These are the full-length courses found on my website. You get all the beginner ones. In addition, once you finish the expert classes, you get one free developer class per month. So lots of training. And finally, you can also become a Diamond sponsor. You'll have your name or your company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown on each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you again soon.